It's a little different than a bowling alley, right? No, I thought it was just a plain text.
Did you give me all the answers in there? Did you write it up?
I'll give it a minute.
Yeah, there you go. Do that. That's perfect. Just what I needed. Amen. It's almost Sunday. I get a little religion in me.
Good luck.
No.
You made it. Yeah.
Thank you everyone for coming. We're so grateful to have all of the candidates for the Board of Education here today. And we really appreciate them taking their time out of the day. And this event is hosted by Bloomfield Pride, Bloomfield DEI Network, Bloomfield Restorative Justice Partners, Angles Connect, and Bloomfield for Preschool Expansion. We gathered questions from the community through surveys and polls, and then we gave those questions to the candidates ahead of time so that they could prepare their answers and research and do whatever they needed to do to feel ready to talk about the issues. The rules are very simple. It's not a debate. It's just them sharing information about their positions. 1 minute per candidate, and the timer will go off and we'll just move to the next candidate. And I also wanted to take a second and say that the candidates have also taken time out of their day to give tons of information to voters this year. And out front, I have this handout with all these different QR codes, which just represent all the different surveys that they have participated in. So they've answered tons of questions, and if you did not get your question answered here or in meet and greet, they very well may have talked about it another time, so you can grab this handout and get some more information from them. So our first question that we wanted to start out with is just giving every candidate a chance to introduce themselves and talk about their top 3 priorities. So we'll start with Mr. Morse and go down the line.
Thank you very much. Just a brief introduction, Ben Morris. I've been on the board for 8 years, 7 concurrently, and my top 3 priorities are trying to figure out how we can add more arts and science into the elementary school. I attended some forums where Arts Ed New Jersey was there, showing how we could do a better job, and it just benefits the students in so many ways. More of that. We also we're hiring a superintendent next year. This is the one big job that the school board has, so that's going to be a priority, setting up a proper process and getting the right person in there. As you know, our current superintendent will resign. I think his last day is the end of June. And one more priority is accelerating student achievement through more use of an application of high impact tutoring. We saw tremendous growth for students that were able to take part in this. Last year we got a grant. There's a new grant that's opening up to the state, which should be out next week, and we want to get that not only for elementary schools. It was basically a program where you got 1 to 4, 1 teacher, 4 students, before school, after school. That's my minute.
Mr. Miller.
Hi, my name is Quan R. Miller. Our top priorities will be, 1, from out there knocking on doors, talking to the residents, would be transparency. He said with the current board, they didn't get a lot of information. So our goal is to come in and let them know as much as possible. Let them know as much as we can, keep them informed through our websites, through social media, and through, I'll give out my cell phone if they want to contact me directly. Another one would be, anti-bullying. We're talking to a lot of parents, and they said that bullying is a big issue, especially with online issues. And another one would be mental health, seeing if we can give the kids ways to cope. Thank you.
Hi everybody, my name is Andrew Lamont. I am a lifelong Bloomfield resident. I'm a product of the Bloomfield schools. I graduated in 2023. I've built diverse coalitions and I've been able to build perspective through my time in Bloomfield, and I'm proud to be running for the Board of Education to give a new generation a seat at the table. From going around in the community and talking to folks, the two top priorities are going to be expanding universal pre-K. It's going to be transparency, making sure that we have streamlined communication with our residents, with our staff, our teachers, and our students, most importantly. And the third is making sure that we have the most qualified person to come and lead our school district as the next superintendent. So I'm proud to be here today, running on before the student slate number 4, 5, and 6. We're here to learn just as much from you as you are from us. But if you're interested and you like what you hear today, you can follow us on our socials and see our website as well on For the Bloomfield Students. Thank you so much for coming to listen to us.
Hi, my name's Tom Heaney. I'm 25 years in Bloomfield. I've got 4 kids that have been Bloomfield educated. Been through the ringer with them, excuse me. I served on the board from 2017 to 2020, and in that time we accomplished a lot. And I think that there's a lot more that needs to be accomplished. The 3 main priorities for us now are expanding pre-K for the growing population of pre-K students. Transparency seems to be a #1 issue when we're knocking on doors. And part of transparency is good communication. We just saw some people from CPAC that were here earlier, and there was a lot of gaps that they didn't know about certain resources the schools have, or where to find them or how to find them. So I think communicating better, especially for our special needs students and our special education students, is a top priority.
Ms. Wesson?
Ready? Okay, so hello everyone, I'm Deanna Wilson. I am a proud Demarest parent of 2 children, kindergarten and 5th grade. I am a local child care provider as well. I currently hold a degree in child psychology and pursuing an ABA master's degree. So my top priorities would be, as a board member, our students, right? Our students mean the most to us. We want to ensure that they are receiving the proper education. We also want to be transparent about that education that they are receiving. And also the staff, the students, well, the staff, we want them to be equitable and diverse across the board. And again, the transparency.
My name is Carrie Joyce. I have been a resident of Bloomfield for almost 20 years now. This is my son Evan. He is actually in one of the special needs classes at Oakview School. So one of the reasons that I wanted to run in my #1 priority is special education, because last year we had a pretty disappointing year, and it was very tough as a parent. It was tough on him and his peers. So special education is my heart and soul. I want to ensure that all special needs kids are getting what they deserve, what they're entitled to from the state. And I want to make sure that every elementary, middle, high school is meeting their standards. And my second... He doesn't hold back. So one of the next things that I'm concerned with is transparency, and this kind of piggybacks with the special needs, because our experience last year, a lot of information was withheld from us. So transparency between administration, schools, and parents is a top priority for me. And 3 is budget. Oh, sorry. Sorry.
I gave you a little extra time because.
Thank you.
Mr. Jeffrey?
Would you like to color? No, I tried already. But thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Joanne Jeffrey, and I've been a Bloomfield resident for 6 years. I have 3 children, 2 of them of which one is in Berkeley Elementary, one is in Bloomfield Middle School, and the other one is out of district. My first 3 priorities, I would say, is one, I've already been on this side of the field, and I'm sure as we talk through these things, we'll get into some of what you experience, all three parents and residents here. But I would want to understand the lay of the land of what the Board of Education has been dealing with, and what some of their actual obstacles have been. Because I don't think it's prudent to assume that it's just things haven't been done because they're just not being done. Of course, things always can be done better. And so with that, my second thing would, of course, be transparency, both in what I understand to be the issue and what is being communicated to be the issue. The third thing would be, for me personally, is culture change. And I would say culture change because that covers a wide array of the things that need to change to make our district fulfill itself better.
Thank you. We have a question from Sean Ingles with Bloomfield Pride.
Hi, Sean Engel, I'm with Bloomfield Pride. Bloomfield Pride is a local volunteer-run nonprofit celebrating, educating, and advocating for the LGBTQ+ community of Bloomfield. Within Bloomfield Pride, there's an advocacy group, and our purpose is to promote and defend the rights of LGBTQ+ students to ensure they have a safe, affirming, and equitable educational experience. We believe they are entitled to an inclusive and supportive environment that is apparent in the district's overall culture and reflected in the staff curriculum and policies. With that being said, supporting LGBTQ+ students can look many different ways. For example, working to ensure compliance with the New Jersey law against discrimination, ensuring students are able to access the bathrooms and locker rooms that match their gender identity, creating safe spaces for LGBTQ+ students, championing Pride Month, ensuring LGBTQ+ inclusive curriculum, and addressing the needs of LGBTQ+ students who experience higher rates of depression and suicidality. With all that in mind, what are 2 ways that Bloomfield can support those students, and what is the board's role in enacting those supports? We'll start with Quan.
Thank you. Well, Sean, I know the issue you had was it wasn't a point of contact at Carteret Elementary. And I told you that I would be the point of contact because my son is in the 2nd grade there. And I will relay any information and any issues that you had, that we would address that. My Slade and I were also at the Pride event where the parents there, it was unfortunate where they lost a child, where the child was being bullied and unfortunately committed suicide. So if a kid is being bullied, we would want to provide that safe space. We would want to provide coaching to the teachers so they can know better how to address those situations. So we don't see another situation like that. Thank you.
Yeah, so Damian Lopez was his name, and it's an incredibly sad situation, but we were great to see so many community members there supporting Bloomfield Pride and supporting our LGBTQ+ students. The first thing I think is mental health support. I think that stems from the pandemic and the negative online stigma that has come from that. But we need to make sure that we also have a curriculum that is supportive of our LGBTQ+ youth as well. And the way the board can do this is we have a curriculum committee, and we can oversee the facilitation of a curriculum that teaches the history of LGBTQ+ leaders, especially during Pride Month. And I know Bloomfield as a township does that as well. And we need to make sure we do that in our schools as well so they feel safe and accepted. And in terms of mental health support, the way the board can do that is just by setting policy and making sure students have a home and have a space in Bloomfield. Like the Glow Club, for instance, is a great safe space that they have. And we want to make sure that everyone has a home in Bloomfield.
This hits home for me in a personal way. We're LG. Oh, is that it? Am I done? We're an LGBTQ friendly house. My children have asked if they could bring home somebody who's been experiencing problems and felt unsafe at their home. So we've given sanctuary to LGBTQ people in our house on more than one occasion. In the process, I've hoped that we've saved lives. And so it's personal to me. And I think things like the Glow Club, and there are certain people that we know at the middle school and at the high school level who are friendly and welcoming and can help children that are questioning and uncertain and need help, and provide them with the support that they need. And I believe that there's ways that we could do better as a district through policy and better, and yes, we are LGBTQ friendly.
Okay, so I would say that how we can support the LGBT community is to incorporate their initiatives into initiatives that we have within the school already, right? That can be the Start With Hello, the Week of Respect, and even the SEL Day, right? The Student Emotional Learning Day. So that their voice is heard, right? Because we wanna ensure that everyone is heard. Also implementing those supports and those services so that they feel they are in a safe school environment, right? Allowing them to feel loved, to feel the security and being able to go speak to someone about their feelings that they're having. The board can support this, right, by listening to all the initiatives that come to the table, right? Try to be a support and be visible for them.
Thank you. Mistress?
I believe really strongly in training, and not only training for teachers, but for counselors and for parents. I think it's something that is relatively easy to do for the town to, get counselors who specialize in helping with mental health with these kids, and offering free, it could be a Zoom, where parents and counselors and teachers are given information on how to help these kids, or how to look for signs, and what to do, when to seek outside help, when to go to the teacher or the principal. So I think that just getting everyone on the same page, where it's the administration, the teachers, and the counselors, they all need to have some sort of baseline training. And then you should also have guidance counselors who maybe have a little more in-depth training. But they need to be in front of these kids, and they need to be able to spot if there's a problem before it gets too far. And then that would also play into our,
Thank you. Mr. Jeffrey?
Yeah, so, excuse me, my first thought would be, one, I like math. I know that it has nothing to do with this immediately, but hold with me for a little bit. One of the concepts in math is called common denominator. When you find what is most common out of all the things that you're dealing with. I think that sometimes the need to separate people by categories inherently causes issues. And we're not focusing on an overall understanding that first and foremost, you're dealing with a human being. And if you're dealing with a human being, then you should be able to have the capacity and bandwidth to consider all of what makes that person a human being. Somewhere along the line, it seems like we've lost the ability to have difference of opinions while also having respect and consideration and compassion. And that unfortunately leads to things like bullying and the very concepts that causes issues, not just in the LGBTQ community, but all over. So my viewpoint would be to change the culture to make it more accepting to that, and not put everything on the administration, not because they're not responsible, but because we all can play a part to make it better.
Thank you. And Mr. Morris?
Thank you. So as you may know, the board has policy 5756. The board is a policy, we make sure that the district follows its policies it's approved. So if you can look up policy 5756 from Strauss-Esme, you'll see most of the things that my colleagues here have spoken about. The board is supposed to be doing, the district is supposed to be doing. Now, maybe we need to do it better, but we have the skeleton of what needs to be there. When we talk about including it in the curriculum, this is already statute in New Jersey law to infuse that into the curriculum. So we're teaching about history, so it's about doing what we already have, but doing it better. When I first got on the board, I met Shannon Cuttle. They were the first transgender board member in South Orange Maplewood. They gave me the sticker that I put on my laptop to show, they were talking about the importance of allyship and how we all need to be better allies. So to show that we are supporting of the community, having the board show up, and that's my message.
Thank you so much. Another question question that's been coming up a lot, I'm sure that everyone has noticed, is technology and its role in Bloomfield schools. And so the next question we have from the community is, what role should technology be playing in schools at the different levels, elementary, middle school, high school? And then who should be responsible for the costs of that technology? And we will start with Andrew Monty.
Sure. So I was a student at Bloomfield High School through the COVID-19 pandemic, and throughout my time from kindergarten to senior year, technology has always played a vital role in my education. I had a Chromebook in my hand starting in 5th and 6th grade. We would have our media classes, and we would go in and we would have our Chromebooks. And then stepping up into the middle school, we would have them on our own, and that added another layer of responsibility. Of course, most of my classrooms had a smart board, and so technology is really a value of education that has in this century, and I know what it means to be a 21st century student, it's something that's connected a lot of people. I know that through the pandemic we had Zoom and we had online classes, and I think that was vital. I think that the district should be paying for this. I think it's vital into what our education is for our students, and this is what it means in to have a 2025 education, and I know that Bloomfield has supported it, and I think we should continue to support it as well.
Thank you. We're ready for you.
I'm looking at the clock. Sorry, I didn't want to. All right, I'm already. It's a lot to answer in 1 minute. So, because there's a lot. It's a long question. Technology is essential, but there's a lot more than just giving the kids Chromebooks. And there's a lot more. There's using technology to gauge a student's progress, for example. There's using technology to secure the buildings. So there's a lot more to technology than just kids doing homework on a Chromebook. Yes, they were very essential for us during the pandemic, and it really was fascinating to watch my kindergarten child try to use Google Classroom to do homework. And it's fascinating to see how my older children adapted and overcame all kinds of problems with the Google Classroom. The children are resilient and they will use the technology. Who pays for it is a good question. A lot of it is done through state funding. A lot of it is done through local funding. It depends, each district is different based on their finances.
Thank you. Ms. Lawson?
We can't get away from technology, right? It's everywhere. It's growing rapidly every day and changing every day. Of course, during the pandemic, my kid was in kindergarten. How was she supposed to learn, right? So it worked out. As far as cell phones are tricky, right? You wouldn't want your elementary school kids to have a cell phone unless they're walking home, and that usually doesn't start until 4th grade, maybe, depending on where they live, right, and distance to the school. But technology plays a big role in the community itself, because as we know, they take their NJ LSA, right? That's where the testing starts in 3rd grade. We want to make sure that they are able to navigate that technology. And again, everybody doesn't learn the same, so we want to make accommodations where needed, and we also want to ensure that they are able to learn in the way that suits them, whether it's through apps or technology itself.
Thank you.
Okay, the kids know how to use technology. What my concern is, do they know the implications, thank you, of what can happen with technology. AI is here and it's not going anywhere, and I think these kids need to be trained on how to use AI properly. I think there's other things that we should be training kids with in regards to technology, with online safety, keeping your information safe, stuff like that. Social media, big problem. And then another thing I would like to say is that I think it's absolutely ridiculous that our kindergartners are getting Chromebooks. I think that kindergarten is way too young for the district to be giving out Chromebooks to kindergartners. Even 1st, 2nd grade. He got a Chromebook last year, didn't touch it. This year, 1st grade, they still haven't used them, so they're just collecting dust. I think if we took away some of the technology from the younger kids, that money can go to doing things like training the older kids in safety.
Thank you. Mr. Jeffrey?
Yes, so, spoiler alert, agree with everyone as it pertains to all the things with technology because it's just a multifaceted topic. The reality is that we have a responsibility to make sure that our children are competitive, not just in district, not just out of district, but also globally. We have to consider how everyone is learning. We have to consider the infrastructure of the world. You don't want to just keep them in a bottle. In the same regard, as with anything, it's a double-edged sword. You have to know how to use it. And so I agree, they must be taught how to use it. I'm not too keen on social media with young kids, ergo the cell phones and being in school, and some of that has led to a lot of bullying antics that are kind of hard to stop once they get into place. But the idea of young children learning practically how to utilize it, while also, for a stretch of time, I would say I agree, kindergarten, first grade, they can learn more basic core skills that when they get on a computer, that's not the first thing they look to is to search everything up. I think that ultimately would help balance and even everything out, but be good. And I think the district should pay for it because you never know what kind of background people are coming from should children not learn because they don't have the money to pay.
Thank you. Mr. Morris?
Thanks. I think the district or the state should pay for the technology. I'm a veteran of the elementary school smartboard wars from 15 years ago where every district was trying to raise funds to have a smartboard. Why does Brookdale have it, but we don't have it? And then so it became this thing, so the district decided we're gonna get everybody smartboards, we're gonna keep everybody at the same level, so everybody gets the same technology world, and I think that was a smart move. We needed to keep the teachers in the loop. We tried something from back in the day called, I think it was NEO, which was an adaptive program that would get more difficult questions. It really didn't work very well. We've seen it with some of the software for foreign language study. It doesn't seem to be as effective as having a person teaching. I'd also like to see students, with AI and everything going on, they need to have handwriting and cursive. I would like to see students, yes, we're gonna move forward with technology, but now we need to, when we do assessments and things, students are gonna have to learn how to write essays.
Thank you. Mr. Miller?
Well, what role should technology play in schools is a pretty broad question. I would have liked it to be more specific, but we don't always get what we want. But I believe that maybe a role it should play in communication between the teacher and the parents. We always text Miss Cora when Ace was in kindergarten. They had a special setup with Miss Gavidia when he was in first grade. And maybe another role it could play is in education. I know when you go in Miss Belfie's class, she's a great teacher, by the way, teaches my son's second grade. They have like a 50-inch, 55-inch smartboard where they can teach the kids and they actually get to go and write on the board as well. It's like touchscreen. So I think that that's awesome. And I know I don't want the taxpayers to pay for it. I don't think that it should fall on the parents to pay for that. Thank you.
Thank you. We have Maria Bellamy here from the DEI Network.
Hi everyone, my name is Maria Bellamy. I am one of the leading directors of the Bloomfield Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Network. We are a network primarily of Bloomfield parents who are concerned with all forms of diversity throughout the town, equity issues and inclusion issues. However, our focus tends to be very much on education. I am a proud mother of twin 8th grade boys who have their noses in their phone. They're supposed to be trying to figure who they're going to vote for. But I'm very happy to be here. So one of the things that we're very concerned with, of course, is diversity among our faculty and staff and our administrators in the district. And there's some real issues that come into play when we think about diversity of our faculty and staff, including the fact that candidates of color are not always very well pursued. They're not always given offers that are consistent with their educational level and experience. And they often choose better offers from other districts that pay better. So what I'd like to know then is, what will the district do to attract, support, and mentor in order to retain faculty of color, to bring faculty of color in and also to retain them? Because another issue that we see is that sometimes faculty of color are not so well treated when they get to Bloomfield, so they don't always stay. So what type of programs, partnerships, or policies Would you advocate to ensure that teachers and leaders of color are hired and supported to grow into leadership roles? And we'll start with
Wow, another loaded question. I am of the mind that we could do many things to attract and retain candidates of color in Bloomfield. And starting with recruiting them while they're young, giving students that graduate with a degree a chance to get certified here at Bloomfield with a training program and perhaps student loan forgiveness if they stay for so many years. Paying them a better rate of pay. I know that's difficult when you're trying to negotiate with the teachers union and have the teachers union determine a beginning teacher's rate of pay. Maybe, and not just African American, Black, but Hispanic teachers as well. We're a majority Hispanic district, and having people, especially with students with ESL, people with multiple language skills recruited and trained. I think that paying a competitive salary is key, and so I believe that there's ways to not just pay teachers better, but to make them feel more comfortable while they're here. And that may even be by pinching teachers from other districts. But start recruiting them while they're young.
Okay. I would say the district can contribute to the retention of our diverse staff by continuing to do the hiring fairs, right, with our neighboring universities. Also create a program within Bloomfield, right? Like Ms. Lee was saying, we can create this program to have our students, right, come back. If they're going to school for education, you want them to come back and teach with where they came from, to make sure that we're staying within our community. But as I mentioned in the opening statement, it's personnel, right? That's why we're here. We wanna make sure it's not about hiring like Black and brown. We wanna make sure that we get those teachers and we're able to retain them. So if we need to create a space for those teachers, where they can be a voice outside of the teachers union, where we're negotiating pay and things like that, we wanna make that happen so that we can have the best personnel in the district for the students that they serve.
Thank you. Ms. Joyce?
I was gonna say something similar to Deanna, where I think that we should have a stronger presence at recruiting fairs, job fairs, especially for, I mean, we have a teaching college right around the corner, so, making our presence known at those colleges. I also would like to see like mentorship programs between our schools and anyone at like a local college, community college or Montclair or Bloomfield College, where the teaching programs are getting into, partnerships with our schools where we can have mentorships, we can have all sorts of things for college credit, but then also having them grow to love the school system and setting up things like, mentoring groups and getting kids paired up with college-age kids who are of a like mind or a like culture. So you're building community that way, and I think that would help also with retention of staff.
Thank you. Mr. Jeffrey?
Yeah, so I would say, I think that just generally speaking, the first thing is, I mentioned earlier culture, like we need a culture change. And I think that that's important because the reality is that there's no way, I don't know why there's a disparity in the hiring. I don't know why the teachers that are here or have come here of color don't feel like they want to stay. I do know that in this day and age, we are all, everyone from every ethnicity group, background, has the qualifications to do a really great job. So why are we having a weird experience in that regard? Can't say, but I think that we need to look at it from one perspective. Well, what is the reason? You need to get to the root of the problem, because if you don't get to the root of the problem, having programs that cycle people in just for it to continue to be an issue is not a resolution. In the same regard, yeah, 100%. encourage people to want to teach by showing them the value of a teacher, by showing them the importance, by respecting them, honoring them in the way that we should, and take the position a little more seriously.
Mr. Morse.
Thank you. So just to let people know, we do have agreements already with Montclair State, Keene, William Patterson, and local colleges throughout New Jersey. We have been expanding our reach for recruiting different kinds, not different kinds, but just widening the search so we can get more applicants. I was just at the New Jersey School Boards Association conference, and every district is looking to increase their the diversity of their staff. So the question is, well, there aren't enough staff, those staff members to go around. So they might get a higher pay somewhere else. We're not just losing teachers of color, we're losing everybody to who can get a higher pay somewhere else. So that's teachers are jumping around to get higher pay wherever they can. That's just a change in the job market right now. We have a mentoring program. It sounds like we need to do a better job with the mentoring program, an internal mentoring program rather. There's one with teachers, senior teachers mentoring younger teachers, and the administration has one as well. Thank you.
Mr. Gunn. Oh wait, hold on.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Hi, I'm here to be a liaison for the students, for the parents and teachers. So I would also like for you, after the session, to let me know what I can do and how I can help in this situation. But I have a few opinions. I think we can maybe break down some of the barriers that would otherwise prevent minorities from being hired. I think we could reach out more to the underrepresented communities. Maybe we can hold hiring events and things like that, workshop maybe at more HBCUs. And also, as far as the pay, we were at the forum with the BEA, where the BEA ended up endorsing us. But they ended up saying that the substitutes are being paid a small wage. So I was thinking, and they said that those wages are being taxed. So I think that we can maybe turn that into a stipend to where they can keep most of the money. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Munt.
I think here in Bloomfield, our diversity is what makes us great, and I think that we need a staff and faculty and teachers that reflect our student body. I think the programs that have been mentioned by all of our candidates before about recruiting teachers from local colleges, I think are great. I know a lot of my teachers have been born and raised in Bloomfield, and I know that's great to have. I think it's important that we're reaching out to all different communities, especially underrepresented communities, making sure that their voices are there, so that when we have an application pool that we're picking from the most qualified, but also it's an application pool that is representative of who we are as a school district. So I think our diversity makes us great. I think it's important that we work with the teachers union, like Juan mentioned. Our slate was endorsed by the teachers union, and I think it's great that we have a mentorship program with senior teachers working with younger teachers. But again, I think it's important that we have all different voices that are at the table, and so that our students can absolutely learn from them, and then that they can go out into the world and use those perspectives. I know I have as a Bloomfield student, and I think that we need to continue that tradition and expand on it.
Thank you. Mr. Heaney.
I think she started.
Oh, yeah, you want to another issue that everyone has been hearing lots about is preschool expansion. I know that you all have answered some questions about your stance on preschool expansion in the survey, which again, just say if you didn't hear earlier, there's a survey with all the responses to all the surveys they've taken, QR codes, you can grab that on the way out. But we wanted to make sure to follow up on that preschool question by asking what specific next steps, if any, do you think that the district should be taking towards preschool expansion? And we'll start with Dan Wilson.
First and foremost, as a local childcare provider, I feel education at that stage is very, very important, right? Preschool is the first educational experience that your child will have, right? I don't look at preschool as a babysitting service, right? So with that, that's where all the socialization comes in, social emotional learning, and sometimes how they can maneuver around their big feelings because they're so tiny with all these big feelings. We know it's important, and it's unfortunate that the district could not apply for that grant recently. And that's due to the requirements from the state changing. right? So what I feel the district can do to move forward would be to look into the application requirements, continue to look into them to see what changes and how they can apply for grants to make this happen. But as I stated before, we wanna make this a longevity thing. We don't want it to throw it together. We want it to last, so it's impactful.
Thank you. Ms. Joyce?
So Evan actually attended Forest Glen preschool. He started age 3 because of his IEP. And I really want every student in Bloomfield to also be able to have that same full day pre-K because it was life changing for us. So that being said, I think that what I would like to do as a board member would be to put together a committee that was just primarily focused on finding the funding, getting the grant applications done, looking for other ways we can allocate funds from the budget, maybe a little less technology for the little younger kids, things like that. Just we have to find the funding because it's so important to get these kids the full day pre-K.
Thank you. Mr. Jeffrey?
I think that pre-K is a phenomenal idea. Like Deanna said, I think that there's the earlier you can start education, the better. And like she said, it shouldn't be babysitting services, it should be actual education. But I know we're also dealing with a lot of other challenges as it pertains to how many kids, for instance, like you have preschool, or even have it in every district, or even have it in one place centralized. My son also attended Forest Glen. That was an interesting experience. But it was also beneficial. It gave us the opportunity to work out some kinks that we may not have otherwise, he's neurodivergent, we may not have otherwise had the opportunity to figure it out as early as we did and start the process of handling other things as early as we did. So it's great, but also, like we were mentioning, you want it to stick. And so we have to make sure that the funds are there, which means we also need to see where we can trim things within our current overall structure to make space for it appropriately and make it a staple and not just a novelty.
Thank you. Mr. Morrison?
Thank you. So I think we could do a better effort in reaching out to the community, maybe in partnership with the municipality to see who would qualify for the Head Start program. This is a federally funded program that if you qualify, you can have free full day pre-K at a Head Start program. So if we can expand that and maybe get a Head Start program going in Bloomfield, I think it would be fantastic. As far as further expansion or cooperation with other preschools, with the state had their not failed policy, but a policy that wasn't very good because as we've heard, they changed they were changing the rules on the funding every year, and so we were a little bit delayed, and I'm running out of time on this one, so thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Miller?
My wife and I paid full price for Ace to go to nursery school for the first 5 years, and it was rough. So I get it, and now my daughter's 2, and we're paying a mortgage for her. So I understand how people feel because it's hard. So I think we need to talk to our legislators down here in Trenton. Maybe we can get some funding. Maybe they can fund it like they had promised. Maybe we can look into getting some funds from corporations, from local businesses to help with the funding. And I think lastly, we can probably try to utilize maybe some real estate in town that's not being used that we can use for the building for the kids. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Lamont?
Sure. So our slate has gone around the community throughout this entire campaign, and the first thing that we hear from people is we want to expand pre-K. And if you walk by outside the table, we have our literature, and it shows like the top 5 or 6 things that we want to accomplish as on a board member. And the first thing is expanding pre-K, because that's what we have heard from the community. I think it's important that when we're in those rooms, that's something that we are advocating for. So how do we do that? I think it's important that we have a responsible program, one that is set up to succeed. And I think we could do that by making sure that we're having a collaborative relationship with the state. and that we can have the adequate funding to put together a program that will last and will benefit our students. All studies show that it is important to make sure that education can start as early as possible. In terms of setting it up, I think it's important that we're expanding the services we currently have now, but us as candidates have filled out questionnaires and been at forums. I think it's important that we have listening circles and questionnaires to the community and seeing for our parents of our littlest learners, what are the ways that we can best support you?
Mr. Haney.
I've been very fortunate with my children early intervention, and they were educated, they were qualified for ECC, the Early Childhood Center at Forest Glen. It did a world of difference to have my children at Forest Glen, and I'm very lucky for that. I'm sorry it's not a bigger school that can handle more students, and I'm sorry that it's not a full-day program. I know that there are many ways to expand pre-K. We can utilize the daycare facilities that are currently in town if they get certified in the right way, be it Head Start or be whatever other program that they can accommodate pre-K in the daycare center. But I don't want to set anything up without proper fiscal financing and funding. And if it's going to be set up and it's going to fail, I don't want to go for that. I prefer it to be set up to succeed.
Thank you. We have Elaine Robertson from Restorative Justice Partners here. Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were doing a question.
It's going to be Jocelyn Engel.
Yes, so I'm Jocelyn Engel, for those of you who don't know me. I'm one of the parents who are part of Restorative Justice Partners. So we're Bloomfield families who came together with the goal of establishing restorative justice prevention and response systems in every Bloomfield school, aiming to increase empathy, reduce conflicts, and promote healthier discipline. So our question today is, in Bloomfield, BIPOC students are underperforming on standardized tests. How do you assess restorative justice circles as a policy to improve standardized test scores, especially in predominantly BIPOC schools? And I think we start with Ms. Joyce.
So I would like to address this problem kind of the way we address our special education students, where we need to put more resources towards it. We need to get properly trained professionals in who can help to deal with these students. So if the standardized test scores are too low in WATS testing, then we need to put more people in WATS testing to help these kids. I don't think that it's unfair to prioritize different areas of education for different students in different schools to make sure that they're reaching their full potential. And you could say the same thing about special education. So anything that we can do to assess why the kids are having these problems. Is it maybe an undiagnosed learning disability? Is it problems at home? Is it emotional? Is it mental health? These are all things that we can get professional in to assess and then take it student by student, same exact way we do for special education.
Thank you. Mr. Jeffrey.
Yeah, I go back to culture change because I think that the idea of how school is structured already, it's great if you fit into the cog, but if you don't, then it becomes complicated no matter who you are, no matter what you have going on. That's a major flaw to me that I think is one we would have to do our best to address. You always want to try to understand where people are coming from. When it comes to education or understanding, I've seldom in my life met anyone that is not educated or intelligent. It's just have they been broached or spoken to or reached the right way. There's many things even that it took me a long time to learn, and it took one person to say something to me a certain way, and it made that difference. I think that everyone has an area in their life where they're like that. And so coming to a place where we understand this and take an approach of, if we're here to educate and we see a major issue, then how do we address that issue and provide appropriate support as a district in totality, meaning understanding all of what it is that we need to do for all of the children involved, not just the ones that show up, and perform a particular kind of way, if that makes sense.
Thank you. Mr. Morris.
Thank you. So assessing it as a way to improve test scores, it would be part of our social and emotional learning program. So we're setting the base for preparing students to learn and getting them in the right mindset. But I don't know if that alone is going to increase standardized test scores. And should we be focused on standardized test scores more so than we have a portfolio-based assessment? And so maybe using restorative justice as a way to create better mindset for students, but then when we look at their grades and other things, we need to have tutoring programs also involved so that they need to work together. Maybe our high impact tutoring maybe works in concert with the restorative justice program. And I think we're gonna see how it all works out in Demarest. They have a great pilot program that is going on there right now, so we can see how is it going, are students doing better on their test scores or grade-wise, or whatever our assessment is that we use to measure their student achievement.
Thank you. Mr. Miller?
I think the standardized testing is pretty much outdated at this point. That's the way they tested the whole time. So it's 2025, I think we could come up with, try to look at alternative measures to measure how they're being graded. I don't think that, we can also talk to kids and see how they're coping with different issues. I hear like we can train our teachers better. I hear it's only about $250 to train each teacher, which is not expensive. So I think if we look and see if we have that, we can put that into the budget and have the municipality grant us that. And I think those are ways that we could come up.
Thank you. Mr. Lamont?
So I honestly don't think that standardized test scores are appropriate ways of measuring student achievement. So as a student in Bloomfield, I was taught about leadership and empathy and teamwork, and standardized tests don't measure that. It's kind of a one-size-fits-all, and like I mentioned, I think in Bloomfield our diversity is our strength. And so I think we need ways that we can assess the success of all of our students in their individual ways. It's a conversation with equity. It is making sure that the students that need resources are given those resources. So whether that's mental health support or interventionists or tutoring support, we're going to make sure that the students that need to be lifted up, we're going to lift them up and make sure that everyone can perform. And success is not one definition for everybody. Success can look like different ways for every single student. And so we want to make sure that every student can succeed in their own way.
Thank you. Mr. Haney?
I'm going to expand on what my colleague, Mr. Miller, said, that the high stakes testing is a dated system, and I don't believe that the high stakes testings that's created by the patriarchy is pertinent in today's society with today's community, especially in Bloomfield, which is a very diverse community, which is a strength, and that we need to rewrite the tests, and that not every student is built for testing, and high stakes testing should not be a graduation requirement. I believe that we can change the test and that we can change the culture. As mentioned earlier, we can do better with the BIPOC community as far as judging their learning and their ability to learn and what they learn and how they learn and how they're tested.
Thank you. Ms. Wilson?
As a proud Demarest parent, I will tell you, the initiative has done wonders, right? Creating circles around language and emotional, social impact for our kids. But in a sense, like everyone is stating, state testing is one size fits all, and our kids are not one size fits all. If we want to grow, right, in the learning, in the standardized testing, we need to put the focus on the impact tutoring. We need to place it where it's needed, right? We want our kids to grow emotionally, socially, but is that hindering them from taking tests well, right? So that's really the question, and we want to make sure that they are learning, but in a way that suits them.
Thank you. In introductions, I think every candidate mentioned transparency. It's an issue I know that lots of voters have on the top of their minds. And so as our last question before closing statements, we wanted to ask, what practices would you implement as a board member to promote transparency? And, we will start with Mr. Jeffrey.
think that transparency is easy in thought. It's just about being available, right? Being available, understanding what you need to understand, and knowing how to communicate it. I think that you put some effort into trying to understand how people would like to best receive information, and then also figure out how we would best touch all of those circles as possible. But you also have to be available. So in that regard, I'd be available in any way that I could to help, and not just with myself, but I know any other members of the board and the community, I would like to believe would want to do the same. Even if it's that you call, I don't know if you can do this, so I'm just throwing this out there, but let's say you could go to different schools and have the board meetings there, maybe once a quarter, you hold a board meeting at a different school, so that parents don't necessarily have to come to the Board of Education, not just that far, but they can come to different areas at different times. That's just one little thing, but outside of that, any and every method, I feel like parents should know.
Thank you. Mr. Morris.
Thank you. First, I want to know what people are interested in knowing about. I want to push back on this notion of transparency. We have home and school meetings every week. Parents are there. Things go out in virtual backpacks. The agenda is there. Everything that we vote on is public record. People can take a look at that. I have yet to receive a single email from the public asking me a question. What do I think about something? So this idea of transparency, that we're keeping information, I'm not sure. I mean, maybe we need transparency about this idea of transparency, because we don't have a media that's reporting on our meetings. We all have a day job out there or busy during the day, so we are not a public relations organization. That said, I put myself out there. I show up to events, make myself available. When people do ask me questions, I respond in kind. I've gotten one question over the last 7 years over something that was appearing on the agenda. Now, the answer to that, when I responded to the email, it ended up on Facebook. So this is one reason why board members don't necessarily want to respond to emails, because it'll suddenly get blasted on social media, and depending on the subject, it can be quite not embarrassing, but it can lead to some problems later on. So that's what my bit on transparency. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Miller.
Well, I would want to start by giving out my cell phone number to everyone. That's what I would want to do. And I want everybody to call me. We go into a meeting in the back and talk about something. I'll come out and tell y'all everything. I said that at the last meeting. Hope it doesn't get me fired. I don't know. When I go through my training, I'll see what I can do, but I want to put as much out there as possible, because every decision that we make, the kids are going to be at the forefront of it. So the board shouldn't have anything to hide. Andrew and Tom and I, we have been at over 50 events. I just went to the seniors night for football the other night. I just went to the seniors night for the soccer and for the ladies for Bloomfield High School. So y'all are going to see us out there. Y'all can just pretty much ask. And of course, for the BloomfieldStudents.com will be our website. We'll put everything up there for the Bloomfield students, or on our socials. We're going to put all the information up there. So I think that's how we can combat the transparency issue. Thank you.
Mr. Lamont.
So Katie, you mentioned that transparency is the top of voters' minds, and that's why it's at the top of our platform. We have centered our platform and our advocacy around what the community wants. We have been going door to door, talking about the things that they need to be advocated for. And we've been at, like Juan said, 50 different events. So I'm really proud to say that we have made relationships with a lot of the partners here today. And we have gotten to know a lot of community members through our outreach and through our advocacy. We will go through New Jersey School Board training to see what it is we can and we can't share. But the community deserves a voice in making sure that their issues are being represented on the board. I know that as a student, not even 2 years ago, when the board makes a decision about is this going to impact students positively or negatively, I'll be able to share that. And so like Juan said, anything that we can share, we'll make sure that we're gaining the perspective from the community, because we need to make sure that we have all perspectives possible when making a vote. And we need to make sure that we're consulting our community, because you're our boss and we work for you.
Thank you. Mr. Needy.
As Mr. Lamont just said, at the end of the day, you're our boss. We work for you. We work for the students. Transparency is a story of communication. Sometimes the transmitter doesn't always get received by the receiver with the correct message. Maybe there's a misinterpretation, maybe it's a barrier of understanding. So transparency could be as simple as making sure the correct message gets out in the correct way to the correct people. Perhaps the people don't understand where to go to find the information that they're looking for. We just attended the CPAC meeting that was before this meeting, and there were several parents that didn't realize there were resources available to them and their children that they only just discovered today by coming out to the CPAC meeting. So there's advantages to communicate better, and we'll take full advantage of being communicative and open as we can, as the law allows, through our training.
Thank you. Ms. Wilson?
So I will say, as a proud parent, but also a child care provider, transparency and communication is a big thing for me. But I can't really say that where my school itself, or even the district, because I feel like any piece of information that I need, I can go find, right? When it comes to virtual backpacks, all the information that I'm looking for is 9 times out of 10 there. But I will be a big advocate for it. As a board member, I will do whatever I can that's ethically possible to ensure that the information is given out in a manageable time, so that you have the information. As long as it's within the ethics, I'll make sure that it's out to you.
Thank you. Ms. Joyce?
So, as much as I hate to say this, social media, because let's be honest, a lot of people get all their information from social media. A lot of people want to know what's going on. They want the information fed to them, and when it's not fed to them, they complain that they don't know what's going on. They have the ability, of course, to go on the Board of Education website and look it up, but if it's not being fed directly to them, it's not going to be consumed in the quantities that the community wants it in. So, that being said, I would like to see a little bit more of a social media presence in the sense of just recaps or rehashes of meetings or important agenda items, or, you know, getting in front of people saying, this is a community-wide concern and it's gonna be on the agenda tonight, so come to the meeting or tune into the meeting because you can watch them. And also, I would like to see a little bit more of an ability to get the board on a not board meeting level, because they can be a little bit intimidating.
Thank you very much. Before the last question of closing statements, I just wanted to thank all the candidates for sharing their approach to all these different issues, and it really is meaningful to me as a voter, and I really appreciate it. And today is the start of early voting. So go to Essex County's voter registration page and you can see where you can vote. That said, I wanted to give every single candidate a chance to make a closing statement, whatever you want to make sure that voters know about you and what you'd like to do as a board member. And we'll start with you. Oh, so I just wanted you to say, flip your ballot over. The view is on that. Don't forget to vote for this. Good practical advice. We'll start with Mr. Morse.
Thank you for the opportunity again. I think if you look back at the last 7 years, the district has come a long way from new windows. The facilities are vastly different. We have HVAC that's going to be completed in all of the elementary schools. There's been a massive tree planting around the district. It looks different. As far as our curriculum is going, the student achievement is going in the right direction. Things are improving. Grades are going up. Our graduates are going to some of the best colleges in the country. And based on that, if you could find it, you know, number 7, go all the way to the bottom, click that, or to the right actually, hit that button, and I appreciate it. And I think the district will be better off with a seasoned hand as we come into a very difficult, probably the most difficult budget cycle that we faced in the last 10 years. So thank you very much.
Mr.
Now, always tell people you have to look hard to find someone who is as sincere as I am. You have to look hard to find someone who loves the students as much as I do. You have to look hard to find someone who will fight for the community as much as I will. And you have to look hard to find someone who loves their family as much as I do. As the vice president of the International Union, I fought for thousands of member rights, so I'm who you want fighting for your kids. Jocelyn, I would like to work with you so you can tell me how we can now solve this BIPOC issue, because I will be a liaison for you. Sean, I would like to work with you. You can tell me how I can better help the LGBTQIA+ community. Maria, I would like to work with you so you can tell me how we can hire more minority teachers so I can bring those to the board, because y'all know better than I do, I'm sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Lamont.
So as a proud product of the Bloomfield schools, I want to be able to give back to the community that has given me the opportunity to serve them. I would not be here without the community and the relationships that I built and the educators that got me here. I am really proud that we are endorsed by the Bloomfield Education Association. These are the people that you trust your students with, who are trusting us on the board. People have seen us in a less formal setting, not in a meeting setting, through different community events. They've gotten to know who we are as people, who we are as advocates. But if they want to know us in a more formal setting, we've had a representative from our slate be at every single Board of Education meeting and give an update on social media afterwards. You can find our social media. We have been active every single day and making sure that we have good relationships with the community. I have a unique perspective as a recent graduate that I know exactly what students are facing, the issues that we are facing, and how we can best support our students, our staff, and our community. So if you can vote 4, 5, and 6 on the ballot, flip it over. Thanks very much for your support today.
So I'm very, very fortunate to be here with you all, and thank you for coming out, everybody, one and all. If you vote for our slate for the Bloomfield students, you flip the ballot over, 4, 5, and 6, and you'll get the most intergenerational, diverse team to move the district forward.
I am a very passionate person. My husband yells at me all the time, and I mean that with everything I have, that I am too kind, right? But when you do what you love, you're never too kind. Children are my passion, and anybody who knows me knows that I don't play about my babies or your babies, right? So with me being a proud parent of 2 kids, and also being a child care provider, holding the degrees that I hold and essentially will hold at the end of my program or term, that is, I just want to bring my expertise, right? Have a seat at the table where I can be that voice for the diverse culture that we're looking for, be the voice for the younger children that need to be educated in that preschool realm, and be the voice for the staff as well. Thank you.
So I'm no different than any of you here. I'm here for the same reasons that you all are here. Your concerns, your gripes, your grudges, your praise. I have all those same emotions, and that is what I would bring to the table. I also am an autism mom, and trust me, no one gets things done like an autism mom. We gotta fight for everything, we gotta learn as we go, constantly getting different balls thrown at us, juggling all day long, and I'm up for the challenge, so.
Thank you. Mr. Jeffrey.
No, thank you everyone for having us here just generally, and I have to say that I have some of the best slate mates in the world. Everyone here has been awesome. Truly, I've learned a lot from you guys, so thank you. I would say for myself, I'm very passionate about kids. I'm very passionate about equality and fairness, not in the general term, but overall. I feel like structure is important, and so when you see things go a particular kind of way, and you know that it can go better, and it's important to the integrity and fabric of not just yourself, not just your family, but the very community and life that you're creating for the future of your children. You know, you don't want to be the person that just said what you find there to be an issue. You want to be the person who's present for those children. able to have the tough conversations, the complicated conversations about anything, because at the end of the day, there's no unmeaningful conversation. You can always gain something that can help you pour back in. And so for me, the biggest thing is to be a part of something and to provide services in a way that shows and is reflective of all that is going on, while also moving towards all that we need to happen.
Thank you so much. And thank you again to all of the candidates. We are so appreciative of you. As much as we tried, we know that we did not get everyone's questions answered, but the candidates have agreed to make themselves available. They will be available to answer questions for the next 45 minutes, so grab some food and ask the questions that you didn't get answered, and thank you.